Right, so what's going on? We are back at it again with another video. Um, don't we have a structure on how we're gonna start talking and doing stuff. But over time we're gonna refine that and have a consistent theme on how we present this information. But I don't wanna talk too long. I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes and hopefully, I'll cover ultimately what I want to say. And that's the reason why I'm setting a timer because I want to be able to condense the information. Because if not, it could be run on sentences forever. You know what I'm saying? We could be here for hours. I don't want to do that. At least not right now. So I'm going to start the time. I'm going to get into it. All right. So the main topic I wanted to talk about right now is what is it? It's freedom of choice and control over your life, right? And what made me want to talk about this is recently I saw the movie Cabin in the Woods. It was made in 2012, right? It was like this horror comedy movie about like a group of teens. They go to a cabin in the woods, hence the name. But their decisions, their choice to go to this trip was orchestrated, you know, and it played on the themes that you see in a lot of like horror movies or like just cabin killer movies like Jason and stuff like that. They have the same type of theme over and over again, and so there was a whole agency and everything, right? I guess they had to make certain sacrifices and rituals to ancient gods or whatever, right? But the ones that the agency that they got in America, they do it in a way of what you see as like in a scary movie, them going to the woods, and the teens, being sacrificed there. But in the movie, there's a scene where they have a choice, a guided choice on, what their fate is going to be. So they go in the basement, there's these different relics, things that they looking at, whatever, touching on or whatever thing, but each one decides, okay, this is what your story's gonna be that's gonna be played out. So in the movie, the girl, she ends up reading a diary, she says something in Latin and boom, like okay, so their story is these zombies. This is how they gonna die with these zombies coming back to life. For her reading that in Latin and everything. But there was so many different choices of how it could have played out. It could have been like some ghost or a werewolf or some anything. But to get into it, what I main thing I want to talk about is freedom of choice and how that actually does dictate what your fate is gonna be for your life. And one of the things for you to make these choices to where you are operating at your most autonomy, I believe that's the way, and most control for yourself, where it's not dictated by, outside influences, is that recognition and acknowledgement of your actual self and your actual life and your life experiences. You actually learning and paying attention to the things that you're going through instead of just coasting and floating through them thinking, oh, this is just my life, this is just how things are, this is just how people are, this is just how the world is. And it's not necessarily true, but it's also true at the same time. And it's all about a choice that you make. And depending on how much of time that you did to put that work in with yourself and being that aware of that as a fact will determine which way you actually go. Because you won't be so swayed and coerced by just the ways of the world. An example is like, let's say, damn washer or dryer. Let's say, I'm trying to make a vague example. Say somebody does something, quote unquote, wrong to you, right? And they offend you. You have the choice on how you would respond to that said interaction, right? Not react, but to respond. Because you see what reacting is in what's the word? Is the presumption or assumption that, okay, this offended me in this type of way, right? Or just say somebody, because of that action, this is the quote unquote type of reaction that correlates with what that is, right? So say like, you hit me, okay, they gonna hit you back. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Say you didn't respond in the um what am I trying to say? The generalized reaction that would be expected. That creates, this is just an example on a small scale. That creates like a glitch, you know, in the actual set system that you got going on, because you're not responding in how you're supposed to respond. There are things set up for you to actually respond in a certain type of way, you know? But say you are aware of that actually being a thing, and you say like, I don't care about shit like that. You care about stuff like that. That's why you would react or respond in that type of way. Me, I don't value that the same way that you value it. So basically, it's like I'm not playing along. So the quote unquote play or the script will not be able to play out how it was designed to play out, because the way that it was set up, there were expectations on certain responses for point A to lead to point B or whatever. You know what I mean? And I don't believe it's as common, but it's becoming more common, of people being able to see that play, from a broader scale than, being so immersed within it. But that's not something that's at the majority yet, because you still have many, many people that get pulled into um, these plots, these setups. I hope you can carry on what I'm saying. I can't find the right words. I'm bridging it, but you have people that get caught up in these dramas of how these things are playing out, and they're basing their choices and decisions for their lives um off of as a reaction rather than as a response. And that's probably due from either lack aware of or lack of care of, because there's other things that they hold so much value onto rather than their own autonomy of choice. It's more so survival mode. I just got to do what I got to do. I can't, what I'm saying? I'm just going to work with what is presented to me. And, I feel like one reason why people do that, because also having that um, awareness of it, you're putting more of a responsibility on yourself. And if you care enough, like and also you would feel some type of responsibility even for those around you in a way, because you wouldn't want them to just be played on, like if I see a play setting up, yeah, I want to make sure I don't get played, and I don't want the people around me getting played in that type of way, because I see what's ultimately going on. You gotta like there's gaslighting, there's manipulation, there's coercion. So I refuse. I don't want to be a victim of that. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna react in that type of way, because I already know what I know what that adds on to ultimately. Not everybody's able to take a step back and be able to see that whole game as it is. It's more so, it's not that big of a deal. It just is what it is, and it's never really that. Even to the smallest degree, it's never just, it just is what it is. It is always as that big of a deal. It's not always easy to perceive it in that type of way. And damn, I might make a part two of this, but more but the thing is, I'm gonna say there are people that have that, what I'm saying, awareness to that degree, where they are the ones making the plays. They are the ones that are controlling the pacing and the narrative of how how a situation or an environment is being, what I'm saying, they control the direction of how something goes and how it plays out. Basically, they're the director of the play, say for a said environment or situation. Being well aware of, okay, well, if this happens, then this happens, but this could also potentially happen as well. Not so just one track. This is what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? They're able to see the multiple outcomes of whatever the stage set is, and because they can see that, they are able to make a decision, okay, on what outcome will be played out. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody takes the time to even pay attention in that type of way to see that being done. But you do have people that are doing that deliberately, setting things up deliberately and having to play out like that. You know, you could compare it to, um, hold on, I'll talk. I'm gonna say about 5 more minutes. You could compare it to, say, I don't know if you guys ever like seen like an interactive story, right? Or even there was a show on Black Mirror, Bandersnatch, where you got to control, okay, what would happen next. You know what I'm saying? Or like in a video game, like, should I go this way or should I go that way? Should I say yes to this offer or say no to this offer, you know? And then that determines, oh, okay, on how the rest of the game is going to be played out. It's like that in the same type of way. Um, but like I said, you have stages that are already set. Like in that movie Cabin in the Woods, we already know we need this to happen with these group of kids. In the end, they all gonna die. They all gonna be sacrificed. But the free will that they have is the choosing of how that plays out. But they didn't get to choose that is going to be their end result. You know, because then at that point it's not truly free will, and when it really isn't, it is, but it's not, because from the very beginning they were coerced to even be put on that stage in the first place, but tricked to believe that it was just their own idea. It's just their own decisions when really it wasn't. It was all doctored. It was all manipulated to play out in that type of way. Say like them going on that camping trip. Dude said, "Oh yeah, my cousin got this, da, da, da." And in the movie, you find out he ain't even got a cousin that goes in the camp. Like, where'd you get that idea from? You know, there was a scene where they was gonna have sex in the woods, the dude and the girl in the beginning, and she's like, "Oh, I'm cold. I want to go inside." They down there at the office facility say, "Oh, they turned up the temperature. They let off some pheromone mist and everything. They turned the moonlight up on the in the forest, and that changed their mind and made them wanted to do that." You know what I'm saying? They kind of plant little seeds in there and just hoping that they grow in the direction that they wanted to. And the thing about that is, if you, like I said, the more that you take the time to be self-aware, knowing yourself, you know what your triggers are, you know what your dislikes, interests are, you know your temperaments and all that, that won't be able to be manipulated as much since you are so aware of yourself. You know, you're more in control. So you would understand and see when something, you're able to better clearly decipher if something is coming from you or if it's coming from something external. You know, and there's power in that. There's power in that. And you know, as children, we used to have that, but as over time, that 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 type of power within us, you know, it gets dwindled out. It gets it gets watered down to where, you know, you just go to the ways of the world. But yeah, man, people that you just, I'm sure you got people that are aware of that. They play on it, and they kind of just somewhat just do it to their own, for their own personal gain. You know, it's not more so for. You got people that do it at a macro level, and you got people that do it to a micro level, to where it's like irrelevant and it's just getting over on just little bullshit. You know. But it's most definitely is something that does exist. Now, another thing about this, about choices, right? Say I told you that are aware, right, of the multiple different outcomes, or whatever. Based on what outcome you choose, this is this. Okay, I'm gonna have to make a part two, but it's because it goes a little deeper. But whatever say outcome you choose, right? That's a reality that you're choosing. That, and say if you did one thing, right? From, say the situation is the same. You made this one decision. That's one reality. Say something happened, you got mad about it. It's one reality. You got sad and upset about it. It's another reality. Said that something made you happy. It's another reality. Said you decided to go left instead of right. That's another reality. You know what I'm saying? Parallel realities at every single moment of time from any choice, decision, or whatever. Like, what if I just did something random right now, right? I'm talking. I didn't have to do that, right? Say if I never did that, I just kept talking, I just kept talking. But I just threw myself out of my chair, right? See, I didn't do it. What if I actually did it? It sounds stupid, but literally just like that, there would be different outcomes on how this would play out based off of just decisions like that. Now, like I told you, those are small examples, but there are much grander examples of that dictate and set things to go in a certain direction. Think about all right, I'm gonna wrap this up. That timer's up. But like say with bigger events, right? Getting the mass people's attention on one certain thing. If we can get everybody focused on this, get everybody's feelings and emotions and have expression of these emotions on this thing, that gives it power, that gives it validity, that gives it more density and gives it more relevancy in everybody's lives. Even people that don't even care about it as much as other people do. It's the main topic of a conversation, and having people focus on that is setting up a new stage for a play to play out in a direction that the director wants it to play out towards. It sounds wild, but I can go even more deep into this. It's a real thing, for real. And but for the people that aren't so easily just susceptible to just what is, you don't play along with it. You're not playing as much along. And I'm gonna say this one last thing too. Having that too, you will see glitches. Things will glitch because you're glitching it. So you'll notice it because it's like you're not playing along towards it. You're not participating in it, So it kind of messes it up. It disrupts it. I'm gonna leave it at that. There might be a part 2 to this.